Hi everyone, Matt Paterini here with the Nontraditional Pharmacist. Thanks for tuning in to TNP this evening. I'm joined today by Dr. Joni Bradley, and that's actually why I wore my Michigan colors today. She's a fellow University of Michigan College of Pharmacy graduate, so excited to have her on today. She's the president and CEO of JB Ashtin, and JB Ashtin is a company located in Plymouth, Michigan, where they're a scientific communications company. And they have a unique team of scientific writers, client service professionals, and marketers who provide premium healthcare solutions. So we'll learn more about that and how that all came to be and Joni's story. So Joni, welcome to TNP. Thanks for joining.
Oh, my pleasure. And thanks for wearing the shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the first question is, we kind of like to get an idea of our guest's background. And in your case, I think it's particularly interesting with where you are now at JB Ashtin. So could you walk us through your path through pharmacy and how you eventually ended up starting your own company?
Sure, and I'll try to be brief.
Yeah, no, take as long as you want. I'm here all night.
So I learned about what a pharmacist did outside of the traditional community pharmacist when I was 12 years old. I have an aunt who's only 3.5 years older than I am, and I used to love to hang out with her. And when she was in high school, she went to a career night at Lynn Hospital, which no longer exists. I believe they tore that down years ago. It's in Lincoln Park, Michigan, and we toured the hospital pharmacy. And I think at that time, my eyes were like, wow, this is a job. This is awesome. And ever since I was 12, wanted to be a pharmacist.
Wow.
So that's unusual in that I knew what I wanted to do at that age. So everything was about getting into pharmacy school. Didn't apply to Michigan at first. So I went to Wayne State, did all of my pre-pharmacy there, and then I did apply for the PharmD program at Michigan, and really enjoyed the time there until I got into my rotations. So when I did my clinical rotations, I realized I really don't want to do this. And it's not that I didn't like what I did. The fact was I loved what I did. I really enjoyed all those rotations. I enjoyed the function of the pharmacist. What I wasn't cut out for was dealing directly with the patients. I'll explain just a little bit. It's the well ones that are okay. It's the critically ill patients broke my heart. And I just knew that when I would go in, and let's say my favorite rotation was my parenteral nutrition rotation.
Okay.
Those are the sickest patients in the hospital. And so I just wasn't cut out for it. And so to this day, I am in awe, and I have the deepest respect for any person who can work in the hospital, because it takes special people to do that. I'm just not cut from that cloth. So when it came time to, I probably would have gone into community pharmacy had I not had a 3-year-old when I graduated. And at that point I was thinking, well, what can I do that won't take me away from my family after normal working hours? And I found out about this job about medical writing. And I went to the ASHP, American Society of Health System Pharmacists, and went to the mid-year meeting and learned about this medical writing opportunity, and I jumped at it. And I learned how to do that. I had this love of drug information, and just wanted to utilize that experience of being a pharmacist and that knowledge of medications and how you can help people. And so that's the career path I chose.
Did you have a rotation in medical writing?
No.
No, you just learned about it kind of on your own and kind of found the information through different ways.
Right. I learned, I had the drug information rotation.
Right.
And so I knew that I wanted to combine something like that. But also because I had the 3-year-old, didn't want to do a residency. I just couldn't afford to do that at that stage of my life. So I found out about the medical writing, and I did that, and never knew how to be a writer.
Right.
Outside of writing your papers for English comp when you're in, freshman in college.
Wow. That's crazy. Did that start? So did you do medical writing for another company, or did you work for someone out of pharmacy school, or did you start your company straight from
No, absolutely not. I definitely learned how to do it. I worked for a small company in New Jersey. That was my first position. He was also a pharmacist who started the company. He was my mentor. His name was John Romankowitz. He just passed away last year. And he took a chance on me, and he had some great people working at his company who really taught me what I needed to look for as I was writing. And so that was a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's and so it's kind of a timing thing that that opportunity became available towards the end of pharmacy school. And how
Mhm.
long did you do that for?
I did that. I worked at that particular company for almost 5 years. And I found myself at a stage where I had two kids at that time and needed to move back home to Michigan. And so my husband and I moved back, and um, I found another pharmacist who had a similar company who was willing to take a chance on me at working remotely. And at that time, that wasn't very common.
Right.
Now, now it's
Now
like
that's
common.
yeah, yeah.
And so I was able to continue working from Michigan for a Philadelphia based company. And I flew back and forth for a while, and I worked for her for almost 4 years. Um, then at that point, also another great mentor. So learned so much from her, more on the business end of what to do in this kind of company.
Okay.
So my first position was like, what do I do and how do I do it? The second position was, how do you make a business out of this?
Right, and you really need both pieces, right? You
Yeah,
can't, you got to have both sides of it to eventually, you know, start your own company.
right.
Yeah. Okay. And you said two people now, it sounds like, have taken a chance on you. What would you attribute that to? You know, it's just good relationship building, networking. How would you say you got those opportunities?
I would say the first opportunity was through that personnel placement service that the ASHP provides. And I guess I would attribute it to networking, although I'm a very introverted person, so I wouldn't say networking is at the time was at the top of my skill set. But looking back, that's what it was, because the individual I knew used to work for the gentleman I was working for. And the pharmacy world still is a small community.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the pharmacists know each other, and um, yeah, a good group of people.
That's great. So, and then, so you worked for a Philadelphia-based company in Michigan
Yeah.
for X amount of time,
Yeah.
and then from there, how did you start? Was JB Ashtin shortly after?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would love to tell you that I had this brilliant plan. I had it all thought out, but I absolutely had no plan whatsoever. Just being honest.
Yeah.
Um, at the time, so the woman that I worked for, again, amazing. Her name is Mary Parenti. Um, she's associated with the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy and Sciences, and she sold her company. And I just wasn't a fit for the new ownership. Let's put it that way. I just wasn't happy any longer. It was different, working for a large company is not the same as working for a small company. And at the time, we had a client who I was talking with who wanted somebody to come in and consult with him. This is a pharmaceutical client, wanted somebody to come in and consult with him on how to create a global publication group. I can admit this now. I had no idea what I was doing. Um, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to try this. If he's going to give me an opportunity, this gives me a way to try something new at low risk. Um, and I figured I have always kept my pharmacist license to this day. I keep it. And I figured, you know what? I will gladly work at a community pharmacy
Yeah.
if I need to.
Right. Right.
So I took that job in the pharmaceutical industry as a consultant, a contract worker. I did that for 6 months. And again, amazing learning opportunity. So I got to see how decisions were made inside those companies. At the same time, I was learning about how to navigate those different teams. And I got to sit on so many different teams and learning about all these new medications and how you plan for publications. And again, amazing opportunity. And then my contract ended.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, what do I do now?
What's the next step? There's got to be
Um,
more from there.
yeah, and so I was a trained medical writer, so I thought I'll just be a freelance medical writer. Great, great opportunity for people who like to write. And then old clients or former clients started calling me and asking me if I could help them. And that's how really my business started.
Okay. So a couple of different learning opportunities and different roles, medical writing, the business side, and then some of this other stuff on top of that. And then starting your own kind of writing, freelance writing, and that snowballed into your
Right.
company. Yeah, that makes sense. But if some people looking at it would look at it as, okay, well, I just decided to start my own company, but they don't see all the steps that lead up to that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about JB Ashtin then. What's the origin of the name?
JB, so that's myself and my husband, Joni and Bruce.
Okay.
Ashtin are my kids, Ashley and Austin.
Oh, that's
perfect. And so when I started the company, I was trying to think of these witty names that had, relating to what I was doing, and none of them they didn't sound right. A little bit too cheesy. I'm like, well, you know what? If I pick something that's generic and this doesn't work out, I can always go back and write children's books or sell real estate or something like that. So,
right. Very cool. And so what is JB Ashtin all about? What's the mission, the purpose? What do you guys do at JB Ashtin?
Yeah, so we're a traditional medical communications company or scientific communications agency. And a lot of people don't know what that is. And it can be difficult to explain. And so I don't know if my mom could still explain it. I've been doing this for 18 years now. If it goes back to why do we do what we do, and especially since we're scientists and pharmacists and other people involved directly and indirectly in healthcare, we really just want to make it easier for our peers, healthcare providers, to make the best treatment decisions for their patients. So if we're pharmacists, we know all about medications, but they need to be used in the right people for the right thing at the right time. And so it's that education, providing that drug information so they can make those better decisions. So that's kind of why we do what we do. The services we provide is helping our pharmaceutical clients, biotech, or even healthcare consumer clients, really helping them get information about their products, their drugs, their devices, out to whoever is going to be using them, prescribing them, so they understand how that fits into therapy. Most of the time, these are new medications that healthcare providers don't know about. So we're involved before FDA approval. And so a lot of what we educate about is the disease state first, and what is new, what is changing, how the science is evolving in a particular disease state. And then what are these new treatments that come out and how do they fit? And so the people that we're writing for, providing this education for, they're other healthcare providers.
Okay. And so what are the roles of pharmacists at JB Ashtin?
The pharmacists in our team are medical writers and scientific directors. And so what that means on our team is that they are actually creating the content, or doing that writing, or they're helping us come up with solutions to help get that communication out in the best way possible. Okay. So, for example, if one of our clients has a medication that is an investigational drug at this point and their clinical trial results, we work directly with the investigators who would be authors on papers or posters. And we work with them to create that content that gets either submitted to a Congress or submitted to a medical journal.
Okay.
And so a lot of what the pharmacist does is they get the opportunity to look at that data and help interpret it, and how is the best way to share that with their peers.
Okay. So they're consulting in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So there's kind of this medical writing aspect, consulting aspect. What's the future direction? How do you see the company changing?
The company has to change as technology advances. So, for example, when I started, medical and scientific journals were in print, and it was all about the circulation, right? How many people are subscribers? Well, that doesn't even apply anymore to most journals. People learn so much differently now. Not everybody is going to conferences. Not everyone sits down and even goes to the website for a particular journal. It's how do we get that information in front of the people that need to see it? And so there's different ways of doing that. Or just how do you engage a user, healthcare provider in this high-tech world? And so some of the things that we've done recently, the one that I'm particularly proud of is a disease state education program we did for a client. And it was a immersive experience. So it was using virtual reality technology. So it was putting that healthcare provider in the shoes of a patient with a particular disorder. And so we wrote the script. We did all of the research. We got the tech partner on board to put this together. So where it's an experience where you would wear an Oculus Rift headset, so you have the audio and the visual. But because our video this experience was shot with a 360 camera, you are, looking through the eyes of that patient, and you hear her thoughts, and you see her conversations, and you see what challenges she has because of this disorder. And so it was just launched earlier this year, and it has a really great response. And we've heard that it even makes people cry. So that's pretty interesting from a physician audience who says, "Wow, now I understand." That's pretty cool.
Wow, that's really cool. You mentioned it. Technology is changing everything, right? So you have to adapt to a certain extent, and it's constantly changing. And that's a great example. That's super cool. I've never heard of that before. That's really neat. What about most valuable lessons that you've learned personally in starting a business and in all the years you've been in business now, combined with your pharmacy training? What are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned through the journey?
There have been so many. I have made so many mistakes. And I have learned so much. And I thought about this. I figured you might ask me something like that. And I think I would boil it down to maybe two huge lessons. The first would be, don't ever be afraid to ask for help. You don't have to do it all. And I think sometimes women especially might be trying to prove something. Like, I can do this. Like, well, yeah, you can, but you don't have to do it all by yourself. I guess along with asking for help is hire people smarter than you. That is one of the best things that I've always done. Hire people who know different things and who are smarter than you are. But then also don't forget about leadership. I was so young when I started my company, I didn't even think about that. It's like, I just have to solve problems for people and do the work that they can't do themselves. I never thought that I was going to grow a company. And so I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, I've really been focused on improving myself as a leader. And it was an afterthought. And I think that if you're going to start something on your own, that needs to be one of the first things to think about is, what kind of leader do you want to be? And then how do you improve and develop yourself so you can be that?
That's great. Do you have positions available for pharmacists, or are there opportunities for pharmacists at JB Ashtin currently?
Yes, absolutely. We just started offering an internship program, and we've had 3 interns, and they all have been amazing. They have been either in their 2nd or 3rd year pharmacy school, so that's been awesome. So that position is still open. And then we've also have a entry-level medical writing position open right now. So anybody who is desiring to jump into what this is, trying to learn more about it, definitely reach out to us, because we'd love to talk to you.
And how would they do that? Would they go to your website, jbashtin.com, to get more information?
They can go to our website, or they can email us, and that's info@jbashtin.com.
Okay, great. Is there anything else you'd like to leave listeners today, Joni, with some final thoughts before we close?
This is something that I just always tell anybody who's interested in pharmacy or they're in pharmacy school is even if they've become a little disenchanted with school, keep going at it. Pharmacy is an amazing career. You can do so many different things, and you can even do one thing for a little while and jump into doing something else. And it's just a great experience, and it's a great profession.
Great. Thank you so much, Joni. Thank you for sharing your story today. Thanks for joining us on TNP. If anyone wants to get in touch with Joni, feel free to reach out to us at TNP at nontraditionalpharmacist.com or on JB Ashtin's website, jbashtin.com. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.